Good evening and welcome to our second race of the SSRI GT3 series. We've hopped over the pond from our wonderful race a couple of weeks ago at Paul Ricard to the always brilliant Brands Hatch in the wonderful world of Old Blighty. My name's Daniel and I'm joined in the commentary booth tonight by Dimitri and our on-track analyst Oliver, who will be behind the wheel for the most part. You look forward to tonight?
Very much looking forward to it, Daniel. I was having a look at some of the drivers going around the track right now in the qualification. It's looking like a pretty nice day. So it's up for a great race.
I'm hoping so too. We had a fantastic race a couple of weeks ago, so we're hoping to replicate it here. Brands Hatch, always a good track for some close racing, hopefully, and maybe a couple of spicy incidents, but the track limits can catch you off guard here. We split quali out tonight, so I think we'll be hopping into the back end of one qualifying and straight into the other, but you don't have to hang around long for the race, fingers crossed. There's a great view up into Paddock Hill there, and I think that's Dingle Dell, which I'm going to get wrong several times this input. It's probably my favourite corner name that I've learnt tonight.
Yeah, that one, and I was having a look at the track map because, to be honest, Brands Hatch is one of those tracks where I never remember the corner names. There are just too many English sounding names on there. And the Derek Minter Straight, that is one that was not familiar to me either.
No, there's plenty of ones named after racing drivers that I've frankly never heard of. We're just getting a great shot over the top of our in-car commentator Oliver as he's coming around the last bend. It looks like he might be able to just get a flying lap on. Oliver, if you have time, do you want to talk us through the lap that you're doing as you're doing it?
It's just finished and I have to return to the pits. My qualifying is over.
Oh, he's finished. He's qualifying like that. Is unfortunate timing. I'm sure we'll manage to follow someone around as he kindly gets out the way at the bottom of Paddock Hill. Did you just manage to get the one lap off then?
No, I had a few laps, but none of them really. I couldn't get them together at all, so it wasn't the best qualifying. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the race.
Well, it's definitely still going to be down to the race. So I think it looks like our pros are going out now. As we said, we're splitting the qualifying into two halves tonight. So our silvers and our AMs, it looks like, have already been out. So the order will be determined for them. Our AM leader at the moment seems to be Fredrickson at the Porsche. And hopefully now we're going to get our pros going out and our silvers and our AMs coming in, and the pros can put in some rather speedy laps we're hoping for. So expect those times that you're looking at on the screen right now to drop quite significantly, as some of our pros are very, very quick. We're just following Pinchbank in his Aston up towards Sheens now.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Daniel, I'm having a look at the times that have been done by the first qualifiers, and it's Callum Morgan with the fastest time at the moment with the 1:23.6. And I just noticed that Sander Vale, he did a last lap jump. I think he went from P7 to P4 in his final lap, so that's a great last-ditch effort by him. And now we're really, really interested to see what the lap times are going to be with the pros.
Absolutely. I think we managed to look in on practice earlier, and I did see a couple of 22s, but I really don't know what the fastest lap times around here might end up being, so I'm sure we'll find out shortly after a couple of flying laps go out. I think our pros have managed to do their warm-up laps now, and they'll be starting to fly around. That's a good shot of... You can see how close actually it is at the top, with less than 700ths between the top three. Should make for a pretty interesting silver class. We'll see some pros want to get involved and maybe break that up. I imagine they want to move on going a little bit quicker than that if they can help it.
Definitely. There are going to be some... it's going to be a nice mix, I guess, with some of the silvers just joining the pros in there. There have been some very fast times at the moment, so... great livery, by the way, looking at Andrew Richardson, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely flying as well. I love watching cars come through that forest section, because they always look like they're a little bit sideways, even if they're not. But you've really got to chuck it through that section. It does look like Richardson is doing so as he's coming across the line through the final turn, through Clark Curve onto the Brabham Straight. And we're going to see what the first time of our pros is going to look like. Over the line it is a 1:23.5. So not massively faster than Morgan yet.
But always good to see, you know, that's a confidence boost when you do your first lap and you jump up to P1 right away. So great job by Richardson. It's always interesting to see that final corner, there's so much time to be lost or gained. And when you're having a great lap and you're coming up onto the final corner, you know, it always makes my heart go a little bit faster. You know, you really have to nail that one as well.
Yeah, it's super easy to understeer towards the outside. I think one of the kind of quirks of British tracks, and Brands Hatch in particular, is that the camber can always be a little bit funny. It's kind of most obvious into Paddock Hill Bend at the start, but it also plays a bit of it into Clark's Curve at the end. I've found that I have often understeered off to the left-hand side of that track, and it's not fun when you're an absolute flyer and you just see half a second just disappear into thin air.
Absolutely, and when you're just, you know, unfamiliar with tracking and you're driving it for the first couple of times, it's amazing how much speed you can take into that corner, and you just go into it way too slow, and then bit by bit you're going faster and faster and faster, and then you hit that moment that you're going a little bit too fast and you just end up in the gravel on the outside. Difficult corner, difficult track. It's a typical British track like that.
Yeah, lovely and narrow, insists on you cutting the curbs, but not too much because you'll catch the gravel or the grass, and it's pretty slidey out there. You definitely don't want to get involved. It looks like we're seeing Sam fly around the last corner, so what's his lap going to be? This was our race winner last time out, so see how he does this time. He invalidated his lap. That is unfortunate. We'll see what he does next lap. I'm sure he was just pushing the limits of those tracks, as we've just discussed, a little bit too much. There are a couple of corners here that you want to cut pretty hard, but yeah. The track limits police will get you if you cut them too hard.
Actually, Daniel, you said Sam being the race winner. Wasn't that not Cox, his teammate, last time around?
It may have been his teammate. I may have got them confused, and I do apologise if that is the case. I remember having Sam in the call, which may be where my confusions come from.
I think because I'm having a look at the season standings, and it's not Cox right at the moment at P1. And I remember watching that battle, and they were doing playing the team game in there. Regan Mitchell. He finished second, and I think Sam finished third in the end.
Okay. My mistake. But no, I remember watching Sam for a significant portion of the race, and he wasn't hanging about then, and I doubt he's hanging about now. Eating all that curve on the right there, coming out of Sterling's. But down clearways, Clark curve. Is he going to understeer as we've talked about? He's nice and tight, a little bit of a snap. And now we're going to see him come over the line. Hopefully this was a valid lap. What are we going to see him come over with? That is a 122.97, I think. Just behind Hackler, who's set an absolute flyer. And just improved it, actually, as well, as he's gone over the line with a 122.8.
Dimitri de Knuis also improving to P5 with a 123.2.
It looks like there's some very quick pros. And Philippi has stolen pole again. So it's all proper, bouncing around at the top.
Yeah, exactly. It's a proper battle for pole position over here.
I imagine they're giving it absolutely everything. We're down into the 122.5s. Our pro drivers are rather quick. I don't know what car to expect to be particularly strong around Brands. Brands is a bit of a weird and unique circuit. It's quite twisty. There are a couple of straights. Pilgrim's Drop's quite long, but overtaking opportunities around here are rare. I think the one thing that really stands out for Brands Hatch, I think there's only 3 left-hand turns on the entire circuit.
You could very well be right. I'm having a look right now. Yeah, that's indeed correct. Unfortunately, Daniel, I'm not a massive GT3 driver myself, so I have no idea which cars are very well suited to this track. I'm basically here, for talking nonsense, I guess.
I'm sure we'll get it ironed out by the end of the race, but it looks like the mid-engines are doing quite well. I'm not surprised to see the BMWs up near the top as well, as an Aston splits them. That's a fantastic lap by Knut there.
Dimitri going a bit wide over there.
Got to push the limits where you can, but maybe not that much.
Gravel is the limit. That's a bit too much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the American tracks, the limit is where the tarmac stops. At British tracks, it's where the gravel starts. But there's a couple of strange interactions with Brands Hatch in particular through the corner we've just seen, Graham Hill Bend. You can really get out on the AstroTurf and kind of use a lot of the netting there. It has a lot more grip than you think it does, especially in the dry. So expect to see some people going wider than you might think they'd get away with, and cutting a bit more of the corner, especially at Sterling's and Sheen's, than, again, you think they might be able to get away with this. We're going to see them, there you go, cutting well over the corner. As long as you keep 2 of those wheels on the white line, you're totally fine to cut all of this corner. And again, big cut. Save yourself as much time as possible. Just be careful for the curb bouncing you out to the outside.
And it's basically necessary to have the big cut over there in the fast right-hander in Sheen's, because otherwise, you're losing so much time.
Yeah, it cuts out a massive chunk of that corner, and of course, you want to get as much time on the table as you can, especially with such a competitive field. There still is not much between these leaders, and there's still, a couple of the silvers hanging up at top of the pros. I see Morgan, who was our pole sitter for the silver class, he's only down in 9th, which is pretty respectable. So hopefully we're going to see a nice clash. It looks like Hackler's gone a bit wide there. I did say you could go wide out of Graham Hill Bend, but that might be a bit much. I'm not sure. A tricky corner there.
It is. It's like you said, you can go very wide, but especially when it's starting to rain a little bit, it's very easy to oversteer and lose it in that corner.
Yeah, Surtees is probably my nightmare corner at this track. I don't know where the apex is on that corner.
Same here.
It slowly tightens on you as an uphill left-hander. It's kind of a double apex, kind of a late apex. I really don't know. Someone smarter than me, I'm sure, can work it out. It looks like Hackler's abandoned their lap And
Surtees basically has it all. You know, it's trail braking. It's a blind uphill corner. It's very difficult to get right.
Absolutely very tricky. That is very sideways from Philippi through there. Really pushing the limits. Not hanging around in that Porsche. I know that you're supposed to drive the Porsche a bit like you stole it, but that is widening the track, taken to the extreme. But it looks like it's still valid as far as I can tell. It didn't look like it was off track. Is it going to be an improvement is the question. Already sitting on pole. Doesn't look like it.
No.
Still 22.5, very respectable. Very, very quick lap. Does that improve slightly?
Have a look at who is still on track and if there's any potential for a last-minute poke at the pole position.
Looks like there's just 3 cars left out on track. As I'm watching Junior come up the line, I think that's Visa that's just gone over the line. Junior's going to come over. Is he going to improve? Slightly, yes. Just nips a place or two with a very slight improvement. And I think just one more car to come over the line. There you go, Abranosa in the Aston Martin, currently sat in 19th place. And it looks like he's gone into the pits. So we'll be getting ready for the race.
Exciting.
Indeed, exciting stuff. Hopefully we're not going to have too much carnage in Paddock Hill. It is a bit of a tricky turn one. The camber really pulls you towards the inside, so going on the outside could be a bit scary, but they were very well behaved at Paul Ricard the last 2 weeks ago, sorry. We predicted some death and we didn't get any. So
yeah,
hopefully
I was telling you pre-show, pre-race that I was having an SSRI race last week, and I was predicting that at turn 1 at Monza, and it didn't happen either. So, you know, let's see if we can keep that streak going.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of cars on track. Just in general, I think someone's just said in the YouTube chat, 41 cars on Brands is indeed going to be very tight. This is not a thick track. There is not a lot of width. I don't think we're going to see any more than 3 wide, but I kind of hope I'm proven wrong.
3 wide on a track like this, we want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see 4 wide. If you can get 4 wide without toes on the gravel, then go for it.
I'm not sure if that's physically possible.
I think you might be able to do it down Brabham Straight, but it would be a stretch. It would definitely be a stretch.
Otherwise, possibly at the Derek Minter Straight, just because, you know, I want to mention that name once again.
Well, we're not going to get 3 wide at Dinkeldell? Dingledell? I can't even say it. I'm going to get that wrong so many times. But there's your starting order. It's Philippi taking our pole position to Hackler, Cox, Spenkeling, De Knut, Weiser, Schroeder, and Richardson are our top 8 pros, just in front of our silver leader, Morgan. And then from there on down, I'm sure I would read them all out, but I think it would take quite a while. But yeah, silver in 9th. It looks like there's a couple of pros scattered down there as well. I'm seeing that Junior's planted himself in 14th place with Van der Kraan to fight and Vale to hold off behind him in the silver class. So it should be a definitely interesting couple of first laps with the classes split out like this.
Yeah, definitely. And we see some of the pro drivers who scored very well 2 weeks ago. They're at the top right now as well with Nat Cox and Sam Spankling. Having a look at the silver driver, it is Callum Morgan once again having a great qualification. Adam Locke is one of the drivers who did very well 2 weeks ago as well. He's a bit further down the field, so there's a bit of some catching to do for Adam.
Yeah, but it's an hour-long race, and there is a mandatory pit stop, so we'll see some strategy comes into play or not, and there's plenty of time to make moves, even on a track as narrow as this. Oh, it's such a great view of, look how many cars there are down the track.
The cars are looking a bit askew.
They are a little bit wonky as they're going to come down from the jack from the setup. It's one of the quirks of a Seto Corsa, being the game that it is. But yeah, I don't know about you, but for Valentine's Day night, some people want to see their girlfriends. This is what I want to see. A massive grid of GT3 cars on a British track. Absolutely. Getting ready to do some battles. This will be fantastic.
It does show how much the track slopes as well, you know. It's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the camber here before. As you say, it couldn't be more obvious than that Aston Martin with 2 wheels cleanly off the floor on your left. There you go, just pops down. These drivers will be holding their setup screen as long as possible to make sure the tyres are nice and toasty.
Does that actually make a difference?
If you leave the setup screen with like 2 minutes to go, your tyres will cool down.
Oh, they do.
You do want to be leaving the setup screen as late as possible, because when you leave the setup screen, you still have your tyre warmers on until the very last second. If you leave early, they will cool down, and you could end up with very blue tyres going into paddock hill, which I think is why we're only just starting to see a couple of these cars drop down now. I think we do have a formation lap, so it won't make too much of a difference. But it's a good habit to be in anyway if you play a lot of ACC.
Yeah, we should have a formation lap, but that was something I didn't know about. So I always, I push the drive button as soon as I can, lest I forget. And I tend to forget that stuff, so I'd rather get it out of the way quickly.
Understandable. I'm usually doing my fuel calculation until about 10 seconds left and just desperately trying not to get DQ'd. I think it doesn't matter for some of the cars, but for the cars here tonight, yeah, it does make a difference because the GT3s do have tyre warmers. I think some of the cars, like the Porsche Cup car, doesn't have tyre warmers, but someone may correct me on that. How are you feeling down on the grid, by the way, Oliver?
I'm excited for this one. I haven't been racing in a long time. And then starting off at Brands Hatch in the middle of the field, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, look for the carnage of you squealing off into the gravel trap on the left. Not to casters curse you deliberately or anything. There you are.
No, but you have done it now, so it's unavoidable. It will happen now. Jesus, are we sitting here long?
I've just been informed that the 991 Cup does have tyre warmers, but the 992 doesn't. Oh, very squirrely off the line, that Lexus. Yeah, here we go. As we mentioned, full formation lap. I'm going to see the wonderful ghosting physics of ACC. If you're an iRacing connoisseur, you'll be wondering what's going on here. They do not have ghosting, but we do. So expect to see the cars moving around quite a lot in the formation lap.
Yeah, that always gets me off guard as well. You have a couple of those drivers who really try to warm the brakes and warm the tires by braking hard and accelerating hard. And that always catches me off guard, even though there is ghosting during the formation lap. It's just such a weird view to see your rearview mirror.
I've got to say, it's even stranger watching it from the caster's booth here. Usually I'm used to watching that one aggressive BMW driver sitting inside me on the formation lap, but it is even stranger watching it from up here.
Yeah, that's true. I have to say,
Mercedes in a car.
I have to say that's one of those things I wouldn't mind, to have a non-ghosting formation lap either. But especially with 41 cars on a track like this, it's probably the wisest thing to have it like this. So we can all enjoy the race instead of having incidents before we even cross the start-finish line.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about carnage, but of course, what we want to see is nice, clean, hard racing wherever possible. We're getting some lovely shots of the cars trotting around. A lot slower than I'm hoping we'll see them trot around for the rest of the race.
It's going to be an intense one. On a track like this, with all the speed going through the corners, cutting them.
Absolutely.
It's definitely looking forward to this.
I'm just looking at where the leaders are on track compared to kind of the back of the AMPAC. And obviously the lights go green depending on where the leaders are. So the leaders will go down the start-finish straight, and the lights will go green for everybody at the same time. We might see some of these AM drivers at the back on Clark Curve when the lights go out. It's going to be... There's so many cars on the grid. It's going to be a long run to that first corner for some of the guys at the back.
It is. Thank you, Tom, for having this wonderful split view again, so we can really have a look at all cars.
Look at that nice long field, and I'm sure the lights are getting ready to go out, holding the brakes, and here we are, lights out, and away we go into turn one. Phillippi's got a good run. Hackle around the outside. Looks like the Beamers are trying to get up the inside. Hackle has been run out wide, and it's not great out there. There's not a lot of grip onto the gravel. Looks like the BMWs might have made it. Oh, there's been a crash already. A bit of a dink onto one of those BMWs, and it's just gone. There's just absolute carnage into turn two. But the leader seems to have got away. Oh, it's a car park. Yellow flags waving. As we said, the AM drivers have a long way to run, but it's turn two where the carnage is.
Yeah, I think it was Sam Spankling, and coming out of Paddock Hill Bend and then the Pilgrim's Rise, and he just collided, I think, with the P3 driver. I'm not sure who that was, and yeah, that's when the car started, and then it's very difficult for all the cars behind him to avoid all it.
Yeah, I think it was Hackler who ended up going wide onto the gravel, and then as he were coming back onto track, just had a little bit of contact, and it's enough to throw these cars. They're very aero dependent and they're going at pretty high speeds there, but it looks like it may have just settled down now. We've got a car in the pits, car 74. Other than that, it looks like we're running free. No more major incidents, just a bit of a split at the back of the pack. But Philippe's managed to hold on to the lead, managed to run away from the carnage nice and quickly. Now just needs to settle in, look forward, and keep driving.
Yeah, and unfortunately, car 74, that is Sam Spankling, so he must have had some major damage.
Oh, that really is a shame. We got to watch a fantastic fight from Sam just 2 weeks ago, and just how bad the carnage was that you can see the purple lap just nipping down the field one by one by one. I imagine that's probably held by an AM at the moment. There's another yellow flag in the final corner. I can see car 711, is that?
It is. It's Geens. Koen Geens.
It looks like they may have just had a bit of a spin, or maybe there's been some contact. It's hard to say, but that car does look fairly bent. Maybe they can get the mandatory pit stop out the way nice and early and just continue on. Looks like we're going to get a replay of turn 1. You can see that Hackler just gets pushed out wide, and this will be Sem on the inside here. Hackler's all the way on the gravel, just loses it, and carnage. I don't think I need to add much to that.
No, they have all the cars braking, and then, of course, you know, when you have to brake that hard, everybody has to have amazing reaction times to avoid each other, and it's almost a guarantee that some other instance will happen.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, it's part of racing. These incidents do happen. Obviously, not malicious at all, but
you could see Sam trying to continue, you know, and trying to rotate the steering wheel, but he was just going straight. So that's probably the reason why he retired.
Yeah, absolutely. That front wheel did not look very healthy at all, but did try to get out of the way of the people behind so as to not spoil too many races, but is very unfortunate for Sam. But we'll see how the rest of the race develops. His teammate, obviously, still in the race, still pressuring Philippi for pole position, and these front three drivers are starting to run away a little bit, but not really fighting just yet. Maybe they're working together, do you think? Or do you think we're going to be looking for a fight rather soon?
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, with the two BMWs in P2 and P3, they could really play the team game. Of course, that now is all out of the window, and it's up to Nard himself to see if he can really pressure Philippi for the first position. But it looks like at the moment, you know, they're following each other, not fighting too hard, and see if they can create a gap to the P4 driver of Dimitri de Knight.
Yeah, and it is difficult to overtake around here. We're flicking through a couple of camera views of people pushing hard to try and get through, but it's hard to find the space. This track is very narrow. It will just about take two cars. And as we mentioned before, the camber doesn't make it easy to go around the outside, so you've got to really make the move stick early. You've got to get properly alongside to make a move work. If you stick your nose in and pray, it's probably not going to happen. It might even just lead to an accident. We've got a stop-go for Klein in the AM class. Stop-go 30.
And a couple of cars coming into the pits as well.
I wonder... We've got Oliver coming into the pits, actually. Are you taking a deliberate early pit stop, or have you picked up some damage, Oliver?
I picked up some damage. I got through the first incident quite nicely, but then I managed to spin my car later on the lap. Tried to continue for a bit, but it didn't seem like the car's responding nicely at the moment, so I opted for the early pit and get it out of the way and see what happens now.
Well, hopefully you can stay out of the traffic and recover your race from there. It looks like there's a few people who've joined you on the early pit stop, so it's definitely going to make the race interesting later, especially when these leaders decide to pit. They're going to have to try and find some clean air. As we mentioned earlier,
they will not have clean air for the rest of the race. I fear that I'll go out just in front of them somewhere.
Oh, actually,
they might actually get through.
Yeah, they are just coming around Clark's curve now. I'm just watching the pit exit on the mini-map as we've got a fantastic shot of Van der Linden coming through the forest section. It looks like the leaders have got by, but how much of the pack is going to get by? This could shake quite a lot up, actually.
Yeah, looking at the minimap, Daniel, when you're talking about some clean air, there's not much of clean air on the map with so many cars. And we see Arjen van der Linden, who has had an incident on the grass, rejoining the track safely.
Yeah, managed to get on well out the way of everybody there. There's been a couple of side-by-sides. Uh-oh, Oliver, you seem to have a drive-through. What's happened there, buddy?
I was a little bit naughty coming into the pit lane. A little bit naughty, no. I double tapped the pit speed limiter, and obviously then it turns on and turns off.
Oh.
So I'll be in the back of the pack again, but a lap down in a few moments.
You were just trying to make things interesting for us. Just speaking of making things interesting, though.
I'm just making a good
looking
broadcast.
for a move on. Is Denise Pope in front, looking for a move nice and early? I thought Denise Pope was in the I just can't read.
She's in the Lexus.
I thought she was in the Lexus. I think that's Natafas in front in the Aston.
Yeah, I think indeed.
Similar looking paint colours though, so
Yeah,
easy
they're
done.
driving from the same team.
Big spin on the left. I don't know who that was. That is Morgan.
Morgan, ooh.
It was our silver leader, just probably gone a bit hot into Sterling's and maybe just caught the inside curve a bit too much. Is that car damaged? It looks like it. That bonnet does not look healthy at all.
We have another early pit stop, and he was not the only one. There was another car coming into the pit. There are a lot of early pit stops.
Yeah, and there's
look
still
at this
more
much.
fighting. Round the outside at Druids, and looks like they've made it stick. We don't expect to see any moves into Graham Hill Bend. It's quite tight, very cambered, very difficult to make a move stick. So you got to try and get a good exit out of Surtees and down the straight. Are we going to see any moves happen? Oh, there's a move there already. That was a very brave dive, straight down the inside at Surtees. Fantastic move by Schroeder.
Absolutely, and we have 8 cars within one shot. That's going to be some intense racing.
Yeah, and they're probably going to have to try and just stay as close as they can through the forest section. There's not a lot of room to go for something too interesting unless the driver in front of you makes a mistake. But obviously the best way to force a mistake is make yourself look as big as possible in those mirrors.
Absolutely. There are not many places where you can actually go for the overtake. I guess it's coming up to Druids is one of those places. Paddock Hill itself, possibly, and the rest of the track is basically make yourself as big as possible and see if you can scare them.
Well, we said that it's difficult to go for moves around here. It does not seem to be slowing down Abranosa, who's looking very large in that rearview mirror, trying to stick his nose in. Sterling is rather brave, but fallen back a bit. Maybe just didn't get the exit out of Clark's curve that they wanted, but straight on the back at Paddock Hill again. Are we going to see a move going into Druids? No, hangs back for now. Nice wide line. Oh, ends up down the inside though. Into Graham Hill Bend. Probably has to back off. Maybe get a run into Surtees. We'll see. That Aston's looking very speedy.
It does, and let's see if he can trail brake right next to Frans van der Linden. But he's opting to stay behind him.
And it looks like there was a double move there. 2 people past the car of Natafas. I think that was in the Aston Martin. I wonder if they've got damage on the car, because that looked a little bit too easy to go down the inside for 2 cars. Maybe just a very optimistic move by Schroeder, who's clearly pushing.
Yeah. And Natafas, he's running wide there as well, so he's either lost his rhythm or he has some damage possibly.
Yeah, I don't think we're expecting to see a lot of terrible tyre wear this early into the race, but maybe carrying a bit of damage from some early incidents. Very unfortunate, but looking to capitalise on a mistake from Schroeder. Got a better exit out of that corner. Can maybe make a move into Clark's curb. We'll see. Doesn't look like they're going for it just yet. Denise Pope all the way up the back of her teammate right now. And I think you probably have to give that one up and just let them go.
Yeah, you have to play the team game over there. It looks like Denise is a bit faster at the moment, and Natafas is not enjoying this couple of, I guess, the last lap. And see if he can get back into the rhythm as well. But it does not look like he's going to give up the position easily to Denise.
No, we were saying play the team game, but they've been side by side for so long in this lap. Denise forced to back off through Graham Hill Bend. Taffa's not having any of it, saying, no, you want to come past me? Earn it. Come get it.
Exactly. What's just, even though it's a teammate, I can appreciate that.
We love to see some racing. Let them race is the call I want to hear on the team radio that doesn't exist between these two. Unless they're in a call together. But in the fight, that was some brilliant side-by-side driving. We said that we thought the Tafas might have had some damage, but still managed to hang it around the outside with no issue. Some fantastic driving. Nabranosa still looking for that move. Looks like, is it Van der Linden in front? I think it is.
Yeah. And I have to say that Schroeder at the back of this pack, he's looking very feisty as well. He's looking quick. He's trying to poke his nose. Slight touch by Frans van der Linden there.
Yeah, and they're going to be side by side going into Paddock Hill. Is Dealey going to back out? It looks like he is maybe now going to be a bit of a bodyguard from Abranosa behind. Does Van der Linden have enough pace to run away? Is the question.
And the BMW, he was not happy with that move. His flashing the headlights. No. See if he can at least make it known that he didn't appreciate the touch, and I thought it was not his fault.
Absolutely, lots and lots of flashing, but that's unfortunately all it is. But just let them know you're there, let them know you're not happy. Get your head down, get that place back. Yeah,
definitely. And we like some good racing, and that has there will be some contacts every now and then, and of course you don't want it to end up in a spin or anything, but it is the racing. It can't be clean always, and it's really going on the inside. That's not one of the places where you would expect to move.
Yeah, you said Schroeder was looking feisty. You were not kidding. Down the inside through the forest section. We've got a turnaround as well. Someone's had a bit of an incident. That is Neuterling has spun the car. Now, they're going to have to wait a while for all of these cars to come past, and that hurts. The car got off on the right there, as we say, but nice patience, nice safe rejoin. That's what we like to see.
That's one of the reasons why it's always, handy to have the track map live somewhere, if it's on your main screen or a second screen or even a third screen. If you want to have that safe rejoin, you can't always, have a look around and everybody is in VR, and it's very handy to have a track map.
Yeah, absolutely. You're just watching all the cars, seeing the big long line and going, I guess I'll wait. And just watch them go by one. And it hurts, but it's better than killing someone else's race, for the sake of your own. So it's always good. I think we've seen a lot of politeness this race. There's been some hard racing, but it's all been fair. Everyone's been very respectful, and that's the best kind of racing to watch.
Absolutely. I'm having a look. I saw some yellow flags popping up every couple of seconds. I guess it was the 72 car. I'm having a look who the 72 car is. Can't find it. It was probably 73 then.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll find out.
It was the 73 that I just by accident tapped in the final corner, trying to unlock myself. Thank you for not catching it on the stream.
We have found the cause of murder, and it is our on-track reporter making sure we have something to talk about at all times. Thank you for that, Oliver. Much appreciated.
That's a great exit by Nikolai Schroeder.
Yeah, he's looking for another move. He said he was looking feisty. We thought Abranosa was looking feisty before, but Schroeder trying to link it around the outside. Was there contact there? It's hard to tell from the camera angle we were at.
I think it was a slight contact.
And it looks like he's going to lose the place to Denise as well, who's managed to make it past a teammate. And he's now going to have to deal with Schroeder trying to make a charge all the way back.
Yeah, and Schroeder, he must be thinking, oh, well, there's a wild things in front of me again.
Yeah, looking at that black and pink car and going, oh, got to do this all over again. But Schroeder's not been afraid to overtake anywhere this lap, so we'll see where they go for it. I have absolutely no idea. I would try and pick out an overtaking zone, but I think every corner is an overtaking zone in Schroeder's eyes today.
Yeah, which is quite remarkable on a track like this. And he has pulled it off, and it was a clean move. So props to him, I guess.
Absolutely. It looks scary, that side by side. And if you've driven here, you know it probably was scary for the car on the outside. But they made it stick, and nobody died. So we take that. And I think we're looking at Botland in the Audi trying to run down Vrintz, who's quite a way ahead. Got Workman in between the two of them, and Wilkes in the Pro Class right behind. Look at that view over the rear mirror. That is a very scary looking Audi. Good run out the final corner as well, but I don't think close enough to make a move stick, so just going to sit in the draft for now. And I think we've got Schroeder's gone into the pits. Maybe they've picked up some damage earlier. Maybe this is just their optimal time. And that's a lot of gravel pushed up by Wilkes, who is clearly pushing. Does not want to be sat behind these AM cars for very long if they can help it.
Schroeder might be thinking, I'm stuck in this group of cars right now, so let's see if I can go for an early pit stop and get some clean air. But like we said before, clean air with 41 cars on a track like this, it's going to be tough to find.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just not a lot of room. Abranosa, who we've been saying has been looking racy for a while, is now caught back up to Dealey. So we're going to see this fight all over again. But through the forest section, you can see they're just backing off onto the brakes. You don't want to get too close. You want to be close enough. If they make a mistake, you can capitalise. But not so close if they make a mistake, you're running into the back of them. It's very easy done round here. Very easy done. You're kind of like locked into the camber of the corner as you go through a couple of these. And if someone has a mistake in front of you and you're going too quick, you're going to hit the back of them. And it's probably going to be on you when the stewards get to review it.
Yeah, it's always when you hit someone at the back, it's always you have to look at yourself.
As Workman sends it round the outside at Clark Curve. That was a move.
A little twitch, I think, by Buckland, and Bergman really took care of that as well and went to the outside. Great move.
Fantastic move, and now we're going to see the AMS fight behind, I think. Now that Workman has got clear, hopefully can run away a bit, but around the outside, around Clark's Curve, little twitchy, but looked fantastic, and we're still at the back seeing Wilkes looking very feisty, not going for a move, and they don't need to, biding the time, but looks fast, maybe going to go for a move here. Does have a bit of a run into Surtees, and yeah, unless we get a switchback, made that look very easy. I think we've avoided the switchback there, so Wilkes is just going to run away after P20 now, but I don't think it's going to be very long before the Audi's looming very large in Vrint's rearview mirrors.
Yeah, he's quick. That might be one of the reasons why he could make the pass so well easily, I guess. The other driver recognizing like that he's got some pace. He probably has too much pace to keep going for another 41 minutes. So let's not lose myself any time either and fight him too hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes the smart thing to do is to get out of the way, follow the car. You can't win every race, and sometimes, especially if you're fighting in class, it could be useful to put someone ahead of you and just follow them around. Maybe learn something from the line or just pick up a draft. Looking at the front of the field, it looks like we've had a bit of a runaway. Hackler's got the fastest lap of the race, and the only really close fight up there seems to be on Hackler, who is slowly catching. So we might have a fight for a podium here, or at least provisional podium, should I say, because obviously we still have all of our pit stops to go. So there's still a long way to go in this race.
Yeah, still 40 minutes left, and actually on the last lap, Hackler managed to be a little bit faster than the Knight as well, but the Knight, he's not far off. He's keeping the pressure on Hackler.
Yeah, absolutely. All you got to do is just stay in visual range and keep putting your laps in. You can be quicker on one lap, but you might not be quicker on the next. Keep putting your laps in, keep it consistent, and as you get closer and closer to a car, like say you're getting closer to Hackler in this instance, they're going to know, and it looks like Dealey's been turned. Just found themselves in the gravel trap. Don't know if that was a mistake.
That was Dennis Werkman.
That was
just ran into Dealey.
That was definitely a mistake. That was not the safest rejoin in the world. But now sitting there and just waiting for the cars to pass, it sucks. But it's you've got to wait for them to come through.
Yeah,
hopefully the Ferrari's got away without too much damage.
I'm having a look at Dennis Werkman. He has dropped back a little bit and he's into the pit right now. So let's hope he didn't have too much damage.
Let's hope that was a planned pit stop. I mean, it's quite early for it, but we'll see. As Van der Scheik going around the outside of Matafas, who is not happy about it. Oh no! Just a little bit too close through Graham Hill Bend. It looks like it's held someone up as well, who's managed to avoid that incident really nice. I'm not sure who that Mercedes behind is, but that was very well avoided on the outside of Graham Hill Bend there. That was very unfortunate, just a little bit too close. Tapping the back on the apex when the car's deloaded, and round it goes.
I have to say, very well called by Thomas Verschijk as well. Very easy to lose your car like that.
Absolutely. If you get the slightest tap when the car's deloaded like that, then you're going round and there's nothing you can do about it other than try and catch it at the other side. But didn't lose too much time. Didn't end up spinning into the barrier. So I would say that's a positive outcome from a rubbish situation. Again, get your foot down, catch up. Oh, there's a spin out the back as well. Who is that Mercedes?
Yeah.
It's car number 12. It's Vrint. Vrint has spun it as well. There's been a death.
I think that the Mercedes. I think the Mercedes was the car that we saw that spun by itself, and he might have collected some other cars.
Yeah, I think so. It may be the drifter from last week, as we've just been reminded. I think that is Steve Parker. Drifting around this corner, a little bit more difficult. I'm just checking if that is Steve Parker. Steve Parker was the one we had sideways, putting some style points in. But
yeah, we have Dennis Werkman is now a lap down, so he's making some way, but good to see he's still on track and still driving.
Yeah, he's got his pit stop out the way as well, so still anything can happen. It looks bad down in P29, but there's still time, and we've got some side-by-side action. It's that Nicholas Schroeder on the outside. I know it's Vilcek, sorry. We said Schroeder was looking racy, but it looks like all the Mercedes are looking pretty racy around here. Asking earlier what cars look strong. If you ask me at the moment, in the mid-pack, it's the Mercedes.
It looks like it, yeah. And I just noticed that Tom, we switched to Adam Locke just a minute ago, and that was very well spotted because Adam was one of the drivers we said who really had to play some catch-up in this race, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's now in P10, and I think he started in 21st, 22nd, something like that. So he's back on track to score some great points for the Silver Championship.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that, that's still with pit stops to go, but there's a lot of people around him that haven't pitted yet. He's, catching P9 already and getting a shift on in that Bentley. He's not hanging about at all.
He's driving a great recovery drive.
Yeah, perhaps just had an unfortunate qualifying. It happens to the best of us. But making it up on track, as we said earlier, it's a 60-minute race. There is all the time in the world to get your foot down, make some places up. Looks like we're going to get a replay of Dealey's incident and find out just what happened. Goes wide onto the grass. Looks fine for now. Looking down the inside of Abranosa. Bit of a risky place to do so. Just a little bit too much heat. Just a bit too much heat into Sheens, it looks like, and just lost the car. And then I think thought he could probably get out of the way, second-guessed themselves, and very unfortunate incident for everybody collected by that.
Yeah, it looks like he was a bit surprised by the speed he carried himself into the corner, and then he found himself too close to the car in front and had to back out, and that made the rear probably go light and turn around on him.
Yeah, it's very difficult. We're just watching Van der Linden have a crack at Natafas, who's gone into the pits. It's very difficult round Sheens because the corner's so fast. The last thing you want to do is unload the weight off those rear tyres, as you said, because the car's just going to go around. You've got to keep your foot in. If you're slamming the brakes on, you can see what happened. The front will grip up, and the back will deload, and around you go.
I can. I'm having a look at a chat. I was looking for the English word here. I'm Dutch, so my brain has to figure out which are the right words every now and then. But I was having a look at the chat, and Mike Erenhouse missed the start, so he was asking in chat if it was Nelson who caused the calamity, and no, it was not Nelson. Mike, you can be proud of him. He's looking very, very racy today. And doing a great job actually at the moment. At least I'm having a look where he is right now, but he has provided us with some great entertainment.
Look at this fight on screen though. Vilcek just forces his way up the inside. Wasn't having any of it. He's going to do it again. I think that may have been a back marker getting out of the way, but Vilcek, what a move! And I think that was Workman following him through as well. Down the inside at Hawthorne Bend. I give up trying to guess where these overtaking zones are. These Mercedes are making it work everywhere.
They're making us look foolish, you know, all going like, yeah, Brands Hatch, it's a difficult track to overtake, and then, you know, it's happening everywhere.
I mean, we said at the start there's going to be death in Paddock Hill. We were wrong. It was in Druids. We said it was difficult to overtake at this track. We were wrong. Mercedes are overtaking left, right, and centre. What else do we need to say next? It's going to be a mistake. Oh, this is very wide by Vilcek.
Yeah. I was about to say that Dennis Bergman, that's very close. Dennis Bergman, he's taking the Max Verstappen approach when he was a back marker in Monaco and just, you know, staying very close to the car in front. So every time somebody had to move out of the way for the race lead, he would just follow along. That was Dennis right now. But as I was about to say that, there was this, it was Vilcek going wide and Dennis in front of him, so that goes out of the window as well. Yeah,
I mean, Vilcek still absolutely come back at Bergman. I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. As we've been saying, those Mercedes looking very, very racy. As we're watching Philippi looking like he's catching some back markers here. I think that might be Oliver that is being caught as well, actually. Is that Oliver coming past you? Is that Oliver, is that Philippi coming past you now?
It is. It's the first time I've seen the leader all day. Oh, what a joy.
We were joking before the race that we were hoping you'd battle with them, and you did say that the first time you would see them is when you're being lapped. So
yeah, I've also just seen Sim, who unlapped himself from me. It's
wow.
It's truly magnificent being on track with these great names.
Yeah, absolutely flying. That might be the first correct thing we've said in the commentators box all day. So congratulations, Oliver. You're doing a better job than we are. Keep driving and try and stay on track.
I'm pretty sure we said good evening as well, so, you know, I can't do
that's true. That's true. And we did say we hope for a great race, and so far it has been pretty awesome to watch, especially for Brands Hatch. I mean, I love driving this circuit. I was expecting it to be a good race. I wasn't expecting it to be this good of a race. It's that Hackler on the back of Cox already.
Hackler has really upped the pace because he really is on the... Not Cox is still right now, and Dimitri Knuyt, who was following Hackler within a second, he's now 5 seconds behind him, so Hackler must have upped the pace massively.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at his last lap was a 123.4, whereas Cox did a 123.7, and yeah, that Ferrari is absolutely flying. It's faster in every sector. Not by much in sector 1, I think there's 3/300ths of a second in it in sector 1, but the other ones, not so much. That Ferrari looking very feisty, and yeah, just looks like it's carrying just more speed through the apexes. I think that's all it is. Just slowly closing that gap. He is right up behind now, and I'm sure Cox is feeling the pressure.
He must feel it, yeah. And I know that Sandoval, he's driving a Ferrari as well. He mentioned in chat that the Ferrari is fast on this track, but it's also rather difficult to drive. So it's easy to make a mistake in that car. So, you know, especially when you're driving on the edge and putting up the lap times that Hackler is doing, it's a great job. And see if you can keep it steady like that.
Yeah, I think one of the impressive things to watch about these pro drivers is, we said it was a fast car but difficult to drive, but Hackler's making it look buttery smooth out there. It's one of those things with mid-engines, you're not eating a lot of curb like you may be doing in a front-engine car, but every corner just looks buttery smooth. Cox is clearly ragging the car as hard as they can to try and push away, and Hackler's just making it look easy behind. Yeah. I'm sure it's not from the cockpit.
And that's the beauty, of course, of this game as well. That, you know, some cars say they really gel with you, or you gel with the car, and you know, everything can be very smooth. And then for another driver in the same car, it can be very tricky. And it looks like Hackler is really getting along well with the Ferrari.
Absolutely, it's a joy to watch. I mean, you can see the BMW there taking far more curb, as you would expect, but the line just looking smooth. You can see that just not getting also, as much dirt. There's a big kick of dirt in front as I say that. I think that might have been a back marker kicking up the dirt. I think Philippi is a little bit further ahead than that.
We had a short look at the steering wheel inputs by Hakkula, and that was very smooth as well.
Yeah, keeping it nice and steady. There you go. That's a great shot of the inside of the car, so we can hopefully see exactly how smooth those steering inputs are into Paddock Hill. And yep, barely moving the wheel. Buttery smooth. Oh, maybe going for a move into Druids. Around the outside, difficult to make stick. Maybe goes for a switchback, gets to the inside. But Cox has the inside line into Graham Hill Bend, so probably going to have to back out, look for a better exit. Right up the inside. I think Cox may have parked it on the apex a little bit. Held Hakkula off for now, who's going to have to look for a move, perhaps down the straight. Maybe we go for Pilgrim's drop. Is the exit good enough to get back onto the back, or we're going to have to wait a little while? So we might have to wait, and Hakkula's going to just pull that time back slowly as a back marker just decides, like, nope, not getting involved in that one, staying well out of the way.
And suddenly we have a whole train of cars going into the pit with Dimitri de Knuit, Ike2s, and Adam Locke, Frans van der Linden joining them as well.
Yeah, we're hitting that halfway point, so those that haven't had to pit earlier for damage reasons will be pitting now for strategy reasons. We expect to see some pit stops later potentially. And people are going for late pit stops, especially if they're fighting on track like this. But we could also see if Cox decides he doesn't want to hold off Hakkula, or if Hakkula thinks, I'm losing time behind this guy, one of them might just dive for the pits. And as I say it, as if on cue, Hakkula goes straight for the pit lane.
That was very well timed.
That was the positive type of cast a curse. We asked for death in turn 1, got death in turn 2, and this is a bit of a redemption arc to get something right for once.
Now we have a look at Wouter Bijlsma. Is that Wouter Bijlsma?
I think
it is. Yeah, it is. And he's being chased by Oliver Anderson, and they are both trying to catch Sam Pierce.
The question is that Sem behind unlapping himself? Or is that...
No, that is not Cox. That is not Cox.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering who that BMW looking very scary in your rearview mirror was there, Oliver, for a moment.
Also, I have to say that, kudos to Sam for, after that first lap incident and the amount of damage he had that he had to return to pit to still, get back on track and have some fun. That's great to see.
Absolutely. You always want to see people, just drive it out. It sucks, but you've still got 60 minutes of fun racing to have. It might not be with the people you thought you were going to race with, but there's always someone to have a little bit of fun on track with.
Absolutely. And Hakkula, after surfing his pit stop, he came back in 4th position on track, so
now Cox in the pits.
He's in the pits. Good spot. So it looks like he's responded immediately to Hakkula coming into pits and has gone, right, well, I'm going to do that. But I was going to say, the credit to how quick these guys at the front are, Hakkula lost, 1 position for a full pit stop?
He did, yeah.
That is...
Of course, Dimitri de Knuit, he also just had his pit stop, but he was behind Hakkula before the pit stop as well. So yeah, 1 spot, yeah. Yeah,
and we're going to see Hakkula still coming through the forest section, stuck behind some back markers. Is Cox going to make this work? If Cox can come out in front, he should have some clean air to run away as well. Hakkula's still got a back marker to navigate there. So we'll see. It looks like Cox is off the marks as Hakkula comes through Clark's curve. This is going to be very close. It is not a long pit lane here. Hakkula making a move down the inside, and there you go. Cox has indeed come out in front of Hakkula, but not by much. Hakkula's going to be straight on the back of him.
Yeah, that back marker, he couldn't do anything about it, of course, but that could have made a difference between Hakkula passing Nardcox and right now being stuck behind him as well.
Yeah, and there were a few back markers there that Hakkula had to navigate, and he's dispatched them pretty quickly. And hopefully we're going to see that fight as Philippi's gone into the pits. Looks like our leader of the race at the moment, and looks like has gone in with nearly a full lap up here, because we are just coming down Pilgrim's Drop now into Hawthorne Bend for the fight for 2nd and 3rd, as Philippi went into the pits probably when they were on Surtees, which is most of the track. So a healthy lead.
Healthy lead indeed, yeah. And looking at his lap times, he was consistently doing 23s, which is pretty amazing, to have as a race pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I always talk about when I see a Porsche driver is that they lap very, very, very quickly, but that car is a GT4 on the straights and will get eaten alive by just about anything. So, keeping that healthy lead is well in the strategy of a Porsche driver. Hackler already looking around the outside, got a little bit of curb on the edge and a bit of a slide, but well held, very well held. Was maybe going for a better exit, and I think just caught either some of the curb or got upset by some of the marbles. It's difficult to tell, but another lap, try again. I'm sure we'll see Hackler all over the back of Cox by the end of the next lap. It just seems to have an unstoppable amount of pace right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Unfortunately, we also see a drive-through from Mark Neutelings, which is a shame. I think possibly during the pit stop, have one of those moments where you just enter it a little bit too hot.
Yeah, we did just see Neutelings in the pit, so I would imagine that is for speeding in the pit lane. It's easy done. You either go in too quickly, you can go in and flick your pit limiter on and off, or you can go in second if you have an automatic pit limiter. It doesn't kick in unless you're in first. It's very easy to do. But it will drop you quite a few places as well. Looking at Hackler have a big moment.
Very.
Oh, just a little bit too hot.
Yeah, he dipped one, I think his left rear wheel onto the grass and just lost it. Yeah.
And, when you lose traction on one tyre like that, there's only one result's going to come out of it. Hopefully not too much front damage there. And I imagine it's going to impact the lap time quite a bit. That front aero damage.
Yeah, and where is Dimitri de Knuit? De Knuit was only 7 seconds behind him. So yeah, de Knuit got past, Wieser got past, and Hackler is now in P5.
Yep. And I think that's Knuit there, coming around Druids. So it's a decent gap as well. And there's Wieser too. So, a good 4 seconds to Hackler, who's now going to have damage. It's going to make it rather difficult to get that place back. That is a very unfortunate accident, but that's the price you pay sometimes. If you're pushing and pushing and pushing, you can be the fastest person on the track, but it only takes one mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Nart, he does not like to see this. Probably, he likes to race. He likes the battle, but at the same time, there's a little bit of a sigh of relief, I guess.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely the kind of person that would want to beat people on track. I had this exact conversation with some friends recently. We're saying, I don't want to see someone have an accident. I want to go down the inside of them and beat them on track. And they said to me that if I see someone spin, I value that my consistency was better than your speed. And unfortunately, I think that has been the case here. Nard Cox just absolutely robust. Didn't let Hackler pass, made the right strategy call, and then when you're following someone, you're trying to force them into a mistake, but it's just as easy to make the mistake yourself. And yeah, one wheel in the grass is all it took.
Indeed.
Looks like we're going to get an instant replay of Hackler and see exactly what happened. That's a lot of curb on the inside, unsettles the car a bit. And yeah, fine there. And then perhaps it's the next corner. Is it through Sheens? Looks like it might be. It's very easy to unsettle a car on the inside here. Is that what's happened? Yep. Yeah. Bounced over the curb, bit of a slide. Rear tyre hits the grass. And yeah.
You really have to attack that corner and have a lot of the inside curb, but if you have a little bit too much, you really hit the bump and it unsettled the car, unfortunately. Yeah.
Especially in these mid-engines, like you set these things up to be as low to the ground as possible. We talked before about how, Hackler was driving very, very smoothly, but Cox was eating all of these curbs, and you just cannot do that in the Ferrari. We said it looks fast, but it's extremely difficult to eat the curbs in the way that you would in a front-engine car, as we're seeing Oliver make a move. I'm not sure if that was a back marker or for position there.
I think that was for position with Sam Pierce, and that was a great move, Oliver.
It looks like it. Well done, Oliver.
Thank you. Only action I've seen all day, except for obviously murdering the other guy.
Well, you've got lots of great views of our leaders coming past you, so that counts for something.
Oh yes, I've had the front seat for some action.
Sometimes that's all you need. We see Locke hoping to make a move on Van der Kraan. And Van der Kraan's gone wide, so Locke's gone straight through.
I was about to mention how quickly things can shift, because we had Callum Morgan, who is right up there. I think he's P2 in the silver class after last week's race, or 2 weeks ago in France. He had an amazing qualification, and Adam Locke had a bit of a unlucky qualification. And we are, 40 minutes into the race, and Adam Locke is now P9, and Callum Morgan, he is running 28th, I think. So things really switched around there.
Yeah, as we see Van der Kraan not having a fun time, it's Abranosa just muscles his way through Druid, said, "This is my place." When you see a gap, something about an Ayrton Senna quote in there, but absolutely brutal move. Said, "I'm going here, this is my space on track, get out the way." But made it stick, and already looking very racy again. I think there must be a back marker between him and Locke in the Aston Martin there. Yeah, I can't tell, but Abranosa has been looking racy. Well, looking racy all race. Adam Locke's probably hoping to not have him on the back of him so he can run after Tuzen Vale, who are leading the silver class at the moment. I mean, as you say, Adam Locke had a bit of a poor qualifying, but he's all the way up to third on track and has his pit stop done, as do the people in front of him, to be fair. So looking like it's third in class from wherever he qualified.
Absolutely. And I'm having a look at the standings at the moment for the silver class. Ooh, it's Nikolai Schroeder.
Schroeder's gone off. I can't tell where that is immediately. Is that Surtees? No, it's Sterling's. So right towards the end of the lap. That is unfortunate. I wonder what the damage will be on the timing board. Looks very oversteer on the last corner. Hopefully there's no significant damage to that car. We're going to see through Paddock Hill, I'm sure. Steering's nice and smooth, but yeah, looks fine to me. I don't know how it feels on board, but doesn't look like there's too much damage.
No, steering wheel was still, in the correct position by the looks of it.
And not too much damage is always good. It means you can carry on with your race. And it looks like Schroeder's doing exactly that. So that's good. We all have accidents from time to time. It happens. And this is Friedrichsen we're riding on board with, who I think is currently the leader of the AM class, if I'm looking at the scoreboard correctly. So the leader of the race in a Porsche and the leader of the AM class in a Porsche. Clearly that car is not a slouch round here. But it's not too surprising to see the Porsche quick on such a twisty circuit. Maybe not as racy as the Mercedes have looked, but it doesn't look like they've had to be either. They've just kind of hot-lapped their way to victory in these two classes.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be a great car for a track like this. But it's also one of the cars that you have to master. You have to be on top of it. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really not an easy car to drive, especially in this kind of race where you're going from a full fuel load to no fuel load. Is very difficult in the Porsche by its rear-end nature. And that is very deep there. Abranosa looking to capitalise on it to get onto the back of Locke. Maybe putting his nose in down to the Graham Hill bend. Did he keep it there? It looks like he must have done because he's through.
And that's actually Callum Morgan, who had an incident earlier in the race, who was between Abranosa and Adam Locke.
Yeah, we were just mentioning before the comparison between these two. Morgan with an absolutely blistering qualifying lap in a very unlucky race, and Locke the other way around. Turns out they were right next to each other on track the whole time.
We just didn't see it.
It was just lined up for us in the commentating box to make it easy, Locke already having a look at what I, again, presume is another back marker. That is a move.
That was decisive.
I would definitely be considering a change of pants after the race. After that one, that looked very close. Now Abranosa going, go on, give it me too. I'll have the place. And yeah, the back marker is very compliant, lets him through. Morgan takes it too. I think it's Denise Pope who's going to also have a crack through. So letting a couple of cars through, it's a good place to do it. You don't lose too much speed onto the straight by letting cars through like that, and hopefully you can just follow them for a couple of laps. So
and I have to say,
we're going to have a free run.
Denise Pope she's not too far behind Abranosa, and she's really in the mix for top 3 in class as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if she can get onto the back of them. I mean, she was stuck behind a teammate earlier and has suddenly appeared for a fight, so that's always good to see. Us watching a tractor chase down Vilcek, who's not sure if that Mercedes looks fully healthy to me. As I say that, it goes off. Sorry for the caster's curse again, Vilcek. Tractor's going to look down the inside. That is the place you want to go at Clark's curve, but Vilcek with a better exit can maybe hold the inside line down into Paddock Hill. You might want to be on the inside at Clark Curve, but you also love to be at the inside at Paddock Hill Bend. There's just not enough room there, and Tractor gets just turned around. Vilcek very politely slowing down, I think, there. So, going to try and give that place back if all possible, I think. Yeah, looks like it.
I think they have been going at it for quite some laps already, because we saw them about 10 minutes ago. They were fighting with each other as well. So, they are probably having a great fight with the two of them, and this is something you don't want to happen. You don't want to happen it anyways, but especially when you're having such a great fight with each other.
Yeah, of course. You want to pass them nice and fairly, and it doesn't look like Vilcek lost any positions for that on track. So just nice to get the place back and just continue the fight. It's the kind of respect and sportsmanship we love to see in sim racing. Obviously, you probably wouldn't see it in real racing when there's a lot of money and a lot of sponsor money on the line. But in sim racing, we can do that.
Exactly.
What do you lose? A bit of time and maybe your pride.
I got a little bit of a scare over there when we switched to Jonas Hakela, because he was really on the inside of that corner again. But I think there was Jeans again. Mm-hmm. For a moment, I thought he lost it there.
I think that might have been Sterling's they were going around at the time onto clearways. But yeah, that Ferrari, not looking very healthy. I don't know what his lap times are looking like now. I'm just checking. He just did a 1:24.0. Which is not hanging about, but it's about the same speed that Nuit is doing in the Aston in front. So not catching particularly, or at least not significantly catching, but still on track, still competitive, and can hopefully come back to a good result at least. Fifth is not a bad result at all.
No, definitely. It's going to be tough to catch up to Weezer, who was doing similar times, and the gap to Dave Jr. behind him is quite significant as well. So he's in a little bit of an in-between spot right now. So probably trying to stay consistent, keep the pace up. So if anything happens in front, you want to capitalize on it, but not really in a very close fight at the moment.
Yeah, and it's difficult. I imagine that Ferrari has quite a lot of front-end damage after its meeting with Barry R. So you just staying consistent is an achievement in that kind of scenario. Being able to keep competitive times with people in a damaged car is very, very difficult. But Hakela making it look fairly easily.
I was having a look at the times that Felipe was doing, because he was a second slower than Art Cox last lap. But I think that had to do with the back marker, because he's doing a 23.2 at the moment, which is very fast.
Yeah, I think that might be Sem that he's just come past as a back marker. So definitely got a couple of back markers to deal with. Obviously, Nard Cox will have to deal with these as well. So it's just, it was indeed Sem that he's come past, who set the fastest lap of the race from 37th place. As you do.
Yeah, that's what you want to do.
Obviously, Sem had a nasty incident at the start. Got his race taken out, kept driving, and went, do you know what? I'll have that purple lap. Thanks very much. Down 5 laps, still the fastest car on the track. Things we love to see. Oh, Van der Linden looks like he's just spun it out of Sterling's. Maybe a touch of the grass, maybe a bit far onto that curving on the right-hand side out of Sterling's. It's easy done. You want to run the curb, you don't want to hit the grass. Yeah,
there's so many corners on this track where you see it happen and you think, I've done that before. And, it's just one of those tracks, and that's the amazing thing about Brands Hatch.
Yeah, and it's a bit deceptive, because some of the corners you have, like the netting on the outside. Graham Hill Bend is a fantastic example. The netting on the outside, which is nice and grippy, and you want to run wide. And then there's others where if you run wide, you're just going to spin the car, because there is no netting, there is no AstroTurf. it's grass or gravel, and the line between the curbing and that is nothing at all. Obviously, Paddock Hill is a good example here as we run down. There's the green AstroTurf and then the gravel immediately. You do not want to tap that gravel. As we see Sam Pearce coming out of the pits straight into the middle of a fight by the looks of things. And Neusling's trying to make up some places too on Tractor.
Yeah, Tractor was going a little bit wide at Paddock Hill Bend, but he managed to stay in front of Neusling's.
There's so many fights on track right now, the camera can't keep up. Everyone coming through Graham Hill Bend just very close to each other. It looks like, despite us only having 9 minutes left of this race, not everything is decided. You know, maybe the front couple of positions bar a mistake. We've got 7 seconds from first to second and 15 seconds between first and third, but there's definitely a fight here for 22nd position on track. And made that look easy. Oh, that's wide. I think that's our AM leader, Fried's. Apologies. That might be our AM leader, Fredrickson, who's just gone a bit wide. And again, I wonder if that's tyres or damage or what's going on there.
And I think he might have been passed by Wouter Frins. Ooh.
Yeah, I think that is Vrins in the black, red, and yellow car up ahead.
I think it's a bit of a Belgian livery.
I believe it is a Belgian flag with Belgian beer on the side of it, if I remember from the previous race.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a send, by the way, from Vervat. What a huge move. Just full throttle down the inside and saying, right, that's my place, thanks very much.
It reminded me a little bit of that Formula E move by what's his name in the India race last weekend. In the practice,
just go for it. You've got to go for it sometimes.
It was a Tokyo-style drift, and it was a bit like this.
Looks like we're seeing Natafas have a crack at Van der Kraan, who's... I feel bad for Van der Kraan. Every time we switch the camera to him, he's under attack.
He is, yeah. And he got mocked a little bit by Nelson Ambrose and Adam Locke. Denise Pope managed to get around him. And now he's under pressure again.
Yeah, and he's going to have, I think that's Philippi there as well, who's going to be having to come through soon. Yeah, and there you go. He's trying to cede the position without ceding the position to the car behind, which is, of course, pretty difficult to do. But we'll have the toe down the straight, but looks like he's gone wide. The Tafas is going to be alongside. Remember, it is a left-hander at the end of this straight. Sorry, a right-hander at the end of the straight. There's not many left-handers on this track, as I mentioned earlier. So Natafas is really on the wrong side, but has got it done well before the corner.
Yeah, that was a bit unlucky by Matt van der Kraan, with the race lead coming up. And you don't want to get in the way of the race leader, but then you put yourself a little bit out of position for the next corner, and that was a very tricky one with all the trail braking as well. So you get out of your rhythm, and Evan the toughest, he really took.
Ooh, I think Sam was just not carrying too much apex speed there, and was expecting a little bit more. We, I think, have thoroughly cast a cursed someone's racing. Van der Kraan.
Well, we're going
just doesn't like the camera.
For Van der Kraan because that's just unlucky, and we don't want any broadcast curse on him anymore.
No, I'm a firm believer in if you cause an incident with somebody in a sim race, you should go and apologise to them on Discord. So I may have to go and apologise to Van der Kraan in Discord for caster cursing him for the entirety of this race. It's been a bit unfortunate whenever the camera's been on, I think. It's been a solid race all in all. I mean, 14th place is very good. The 13th before the incident. Cracking race, but just not a fan of the camera, I guess. And I think this is our silver leader. This is Vale. Is that twos directly behind? I can't quite see.
No, I don't think it is, actually. Let's check. No, there should be about 10 seconds between Zandvoort and Ike-Choose.
Yeah. So there's just another Mercedes hanging out behind him. Maybe that was some back markers he'd quickly dispatched. But he looks like if he can keep it on track and he can keep the speed consistent, he's going to be cruising to a win in the silver class, which is great news, I'm sure.
You will be happy with it, of course. Yeah.
You always take the win.
I would be happy with any win in any class.
Absolutely. And Hop seems to be driving around with no issues. And I think that's Reynal is catching there in a very nice looking Mercedes. I've got to say, I'm a fan of bright colour schemes on race cars, but the Mercedes looks like a villain in that paint scheme. I love it.
I'm a fan of the Mercedes. Anyways, I just like the stretched look of the car, and it makes it look fast. It makes it look mean. It's a great car. I also actually really enjoy driving it.
Yeah, it's a nice, steady, safe car, and it sounds and looks fantastic. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
But, quite wide out there, carrying lots of speed. Looks like Hop wasn't able to do the same. So maybe Reynal's going to get to run away a bit through paddock here. It's a nice line. A little bit wide, slightly missed the apex. Hop didn't, so maybe we're going to see him on the back at Druid, but did go very wide. As we see Sem side by side with, I think, Klein. This is for position, I believe. Round the outside. Couldn't make the move stick, just muscle out a bit wide. It's difficult to go on the outside there. It looks wide, but the camber makes it quite thin. But Sem's carried so much speed.
Yeah, but it's also, when you're driving your own race and you suddenly have to battle Sam Spankling, that's a tough job. That's a tough ask.
Absolutely. You're like looking at the guy that was leading like at the top of the pro class the last time we came out, and all of a sudden you're in M class sitting in P35 and going, wait, hang on a second, I recognise that BMW behind me. Why is it coming at me so quickly?
Exactly, yeah. And it's very annoying, when it's only 2 minutes left. It would have been really nice to just hang on a little bit more and keep him behind you. But Sam has the class and he has the experience to make it as difficult for you as possible and as easy for him to pass you.
Yeah, he just did that thing that fast drivers do where they just carry more speed everywhere. Exactly. In every corner on the weirdest possible lines. And one day I'll work out how they do it, but that day is not today. It was a really fantastic move. Somehow carried the speed around the outside of Clark Curb and just made it look easy. But we see Wilkes in the pits, which is interesting. Not quite sure what's happened there. And I don't know if Sam's going to get a place here. Not quite sure. Yeah, he will. He will get a place as Wilkes is in the pit lane. I'm not sure if that was a mandatory pit stop or damage, but pitting this late in the race, I would only assume that either they ran out of fuel, which is always a possibility, or they messed up their pit stop strategy. I'm not quite sure what's happened there.
I thought everyone had done the mandatory pit stop, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Yeah, it might be a retirement, because it doesn't look like they're moving, which would be very unfortunate. But Sem, it's out of the back, fastest lap, pick up 2 places in the last couple of laps, as you do. And we're seeing Wilczek on Neutelings at the fight of the feisty Mercedes that we've seen battling around all day, and that was a bit of a wiggle there.
Wilczek is having he's having an eventful evening. Lots of fights.
And it looks like Neuteling's got the move done somewhere earlier on track. So maybe that wiggle was just carrying too much speed after the overtake, but doesn't look like Wilczek wants to give it up easily. He looks down the inside, he's definitely carrying more speed through that apex, but is it going to transition into a better exit? Doesn't look like it yet. Into Graham Hill Bend. We've seen a couple of incidents here with the little taps on the back. Wilczek's trying to carry as much speed as they can. I'm not sure that was track limits. Into Surtees. Again, it's really important that you get a good exit here. You want to get tight in and all the way onto the outside curve. Both of them managed to do it. Wilczek clips a little bit of the grass, maybe carried a bit much. Can Neutelings use this to run away through the forest section? This is the quick bit of the track. You're dabbing the brakes and dropping a gear for most of these corners, eating the inside curb and then using all of the outside. You'll see cut deep in, all the way to the outside, use that netting and AstroTurf on the outside, and again here, through Sheens, you want to eat this curb, perfectly done, and eat the outside, and then just nibble this little apex curb, just like that, just a little bit of a nibble, and then all the way to the outside. It was actually brilliantly driven line-wise from Neutelings through there, making sure Wilczek stays well behind.
They were both driving an excellent line over there. Yeah.
That was some awesome camera shots. I said that I like driving that bit of track, but it is pretty awesome to watch people drive the bit of track too. This is what happened to Wilkes earlier. It looks like they've just gone wide. That is at Sheen's again, I think. And then onwards, and just couldn't catch the car on the grass. Bonk.
You could see him fighting, trying to regain control, and I thought he had it, and then the rear decided, no, I'm gonna think otherwise, and bye-bye. Let's
and
go to the...
I think it's Philippi coming over the line in pole position. Cox slightly behind, taking second. It was just a relaxed race from Philippi, it seems. Just soared off into the distance and never looked back. And we see Cox, Nguyen, who worked really hard for that third place. Visa coming over, and Hackler, unfortunately, into fifth, who would have liked that third place, I'm sure. But look at the gap from the top 5 to Vale, who is our silver class leader, who is only just coming through Sterling's now. That is a heck of a gap. That is quite impressive. But there you go. Vale pretty much unimpeded. No other silvers near them. Over the line to take pole position in the silver class. And 6th overall. A brilliant drive, and clearly very happy by the flashing of the headlights we saw there. Got to celebrate somehow. And it looks like Vince is coming over the line as well, who will take pole in the AM class. Also very happy, flashing their lights in the beautiful liveried. I think that is a Belgian flag. I apologise if I've got that wrong. Friedrichsen second in the AM class, had a bit of an unfortunate spin, but a brilliant race for the most part. Just very, very calm, very collected. All it takes is one incident though. We saw it with Hackler, and it's just unfortunate. But second place, still very respectful. Respectable, sorry. And Sam takes fastest lap of the race from 30th place. So a brilliant race by all involved, I would think. And just over the 60-minute mark is the end of the race.
Yeah, I was trying to have a look at what in the end the fastest lap was, but me being me, I have no idea where I can find it.
No, I'm also not sure. I'm sure we'll find out after the race. If you've not already joined the Discord, I advise you do, and maybe you can ping Sam and ask him in general exactly what his fastest lap was. Looks like we're getting some of the highlights now. So this was turn 1 where we thought there was going to be lots of death. We're riding on board with car number 4, who's going to watch the carnage unfold, and then you got Hackler being pushed out wide, I think, or just understeering off, comes back onto the track, and by goes Sem straight into that Mercedes and just causes a pile-up behind. And just so many unfortunate collections here. That Lexus had absolutely nowhere to go. I see Denise Pope navigating the way through, Steve Parker. It's one of those race start incidents. They happen, but Sam got back to the pits, repaired the car, stuck it out. So all credit where credit's due. Those that were damaged in the crash did stick the race out for the most part, and stuck in a pretty good race. So yeah, they happen. That is a very, very poorly Mercedes. But looks like they managed to keep it on track, so that's good at least. And it is a good looking livery. It
is. And I'm going to drag some people in there, Daniel, for interview. We have Luca Filippi and
brilliant. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
How are we?
Fine.
How was the race, Luca? Because you look like you just drove off into the distance tonight.
Yeah, it was incredible, but on the other side, very stressful and hard with the backmarker overtaking all the time.
Yeah, we had a lot of drivers on the track tonight, and it is rather narrow, so I can't imagine it was particularly fun to be getting through there. But you seem to navigate the Porsche pretty well for the most part. Didn't have to fight too many people.
It was rather enjoying race, just trying to stay on track, trying to stay focused, and for sometimes getting a bit sideways.
Sort of the nature of the car, I would think, as well as the nature of the track being pretty sandy for the most part through some of the forest section.
It is, yeah.
What about you, Nard? Was your race more eventful? I saw that you had Hackler running you down midway through that race for quite a while.
Definitely. Like, I got him at the start. He had a pretty bad start. But then, yeah, he was like on my tail, like half a second max for the first stint, and he tried to undercut me, so I pitted the lap after that. And then, like, after 3 or 4 laps or something, he was just suddenly gone. And I just watched the replay. I saw him touch the grass and send it into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately, he just went in a bit hot.
Yeah.
But it was quite a watch to see your immediate reaction to the pit stop. Were you waiting for him to pit?
No, I was like, when should I pit? What would be smart? And then I was like, I was going on the straight, and I was like, shit, I should have pitted last lap because I had 3 back markers in front of me. And I was like, okay, he's definitely going to get the undercut. So luckily my pit stop went well, no issues, and then I just got ahead like a second in front of him, and obviously I had some colder tires because he definitely had more pace than me, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, like overtaking on this track is not easy, so I just had to keep it on track, keep it out of trouble, and then like Luca already said, navigating the back markers was interesting.
Yeah. Hackler got caught up in some back marker traffic when he tried to undercut you. Which may have ended up making the difference.
That was definitely. So I also had 3 back markers in front of me. That's why I was like, shit, I should have pitted the lap before. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna wait because I know once his tires get up to temp, he will definitely have more pace. So I was like, okay, I have to do it the lap after. Yeah. So luckily it played out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you both managed to avoid the incident in turn 1/2. Did you watch the carnage in your review mirrors, or you were focused on running away?
Yeah, I saw Sam was also like following me, and then I saw Sam in my mirrors, and suddenly I saw Akela coming in, and then suddenly Sam was out. So I still have to watch the replay, but yeah, it seemed like they touched. So I'm gonna watch it right now. Actually, it seemed like they touched, and then let's see. Oh Akela, yeah, he came back on the track pretty aggressively, I guess.
Yeah, there was some contact, and there was a couple of collections, but I don't know how much of that you managed to see in your rearview mirrors as you came around Druids.
No, I only saw Sam, and then basically I was focusing on Luca.
Yeah.
I had my mirrors turned off so I can focus on the front. Anything.
That is peak P1 performance. That is. I'm not even going to look in the rearview mirror. I'm just going to keep driving. Come get me. Yeah, it does seem like one of those.
There was a lot of carnage. I'm looking back at the replay now. It seems like a lot happened.
Yeah, there was quite some carnage.
Oh. Yeah, that's too bad. Also too bad for Sam because he has some better pace than me as well. So he could have definitely fought for the top spot.
Yeah, Sam ended up with the fastest lap of the race actually.
Oh, okay, no, like I said, he had the pace.
He was around me all the time, but a lap behind, sadly.
Yeah, I told him to hold you up a bit, but he didn't listen. So.
We did wonder. Luca lost about a second on second place. Just about as Sam was there, we were like, maybe there's been a bit. Didn't want to say it on the broadcast.
There were like 3 cars in front of me. One went off and came back, and then I was like, oh, I will just brake and see what they do, and then I will continue on.
Sam's also not like that. He's a fair driver, so he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, of course.
You would ask, but he would say no.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, but yeah, he would definitely not do it.
I mean, you have to say that now, but...
Definitely sat there in the race going, be my Perez, be my Perez. Defend like a lion. But no, it sounds like you both had fairly relaxing races outside of the back markers. Nice runaway races, and yeah, super consistent, super quick. Just, yeah, solid races.
Yeah, like after I lost Hakula, I was like, hey, Lucas 8 seconds ahead. I had Dimitri like 5 or 6 seconds behind or 7, I don't know. And I was like, okay, don't start pushing now. You'll never make up 8 seconds. Just keep it smooth, keep it steady. So,
At the same strategy, when I saw like the fast lap pop up of Sam, I was like, I could try to. No, better not. I don't want to get killed by myself.
Yeah, that's the thing with this track, I guess, and especially with this many cars on track as well. It's a job already to keep it on track and stay safe.
Oh, yeah, there were so many cars. Also, I also went off like once or twice. just keep it steady, put it back on the black stuff. But I saw a lot of people binning it, and
Yeah.
tricky track.
Looking forward to the Nurburgring, not a bit more space.
That's definitely not a bad. And I like the Nurburgring, so I never really drove this track much, and it took me a long time to get a bit the hang of it. But yeah, it was nice race.
Yeah.
Oh, great to hear.
Yeah, and fantastic to watch as well. I did say that I love driving Brands Hatch, but I didn't know how the race would turn out tonight, but it definitely wasn't a boring one. So hopefully you both at some point get a chance to go back and watch the replay, and some of the fights in the midfield were fantastic fun. So
I will definitely look back to replay.
And quite a few people, as you say, going wide, especially in the forest section, where I think it's a bit bumpier than anywhere else. Had quite a few people lose it over sheens.
Or if you hit the inside curve, it just bounces you out a bit, and then...
Yeah.
The off-camber corners as well, a bit mean.
Yes, it was exactly that, the off-camber corners. I think that's what caught Hackler in the end, is he just bumped the inside curb at sheens, and then ended up with his rear tyre on the grass at the outside. Just easy done. And 60-minute race is a long time. Lots of time to make a mistake like that.
Oh, definitely.
But hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll be back for the Nurburgring. Are you both there?
Yep.
Definitely.
Excellent. We look forward to watching you battle it out once again then.
Perfect.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you guys for the commentary and interview.
Oh.
And perhaps we'll speak again in 2 weeks.
Indeed, I hope we do.
Hopefully.
For those watching the cast, you can see the rest of the season up ahead there. So as we've just mentioned, we'll be at Nurbs on February the 28th. Hopefully you'll join us then. And then it's Laguna Seca, Monza, where we can have an even more fun turn one. My favourite track, Donnington Park, and then over to Zandvoort for our final round mid-April. And you can watch all of the action right here every 2 weeks. So hopefully you'll tune in then. And I think on Thursday we will have the Porsche Cup. No, the GT4s. I stand corrected. Or is that next? That's
next Thursday.
That's next Thursday. So they'll be at Alton Park next Thursday. So you can come and tune into that as you wish. Sorry to our production, who are frantically flicking between the two. So you can see the GT4 series. As I said, Alton Park next week, and Barcelona, Snetterton, Imola, Laguna Seca, and ending up at Indianapolis at the start of May. So if you wanted to come along to that, that will be this time next week. And there is the Porsche Super Cup that I alluded to. We're at Silverstone this Thursday, I believe, February the 16th. In Ricard, Spa, Zandvoort, Monza, and Nurbs. So if you'd like to join for that, those cars are great fun to watch. That'll be there on Thursday for you. I think with that might be all from me, Dimitri. Thank you to Tom in the production, and thank you to Oliver for sitting behind the wheel and still managing to give us some information from back there. Always thank you to him, and thank you again to Dimitri for joining me in the box tonight.
Thank you, Daniel, Oliver, Tom, and I guess we'll see each other on Thursday.
Yeah, I hope to see you and everyone else here soon. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.